All right, let's take a look at the playoff picture. All right, so number one spot is still the Tennessee Titans at 8-3, leading the AFC with the best record overall. That will probably change this week. They're playing the New England Patriots, and Baltimore 7-3, New England 7-4, Kansas City 7-4. So I imagine that they won't be in sole possession of that number one spot, though they still will be, regardless of what happens, they will still be at the top of the AFC South. Baltimore's in the number two spot currently at 7-3. They're playing Cleveland. Cincinnati's trying to creep up on them at 6-4, probably getting a win. So Baltimore needs to win this week to keep that AFC North lead. They may move into first if they win this week. New England's at 7-4. And they're playing Tennessee, so they may also vie for that top spot if they get a win and Baltimore loses. But they have taken the lead in the AFC East over the Buffalo Bills. And Kansas City, with that big win over Dallas, puts them at 7-4. They are atop of the AFC West. Coming in number 5 is Cincinnati at 6-4. The Chargers are at 6th at 6-4. The Buffalo Bills are at 7th at 6-4. They all have big games. I mean, the Chargers have Denver, the Bengals have Pittsburgh, Buffalo is in New Orleans. Pittsburgh's right behind them at 5-4-1, and the Colts are right behind them 6-5, playing at home against the Bucs this week. Not to be left out, Cleveland is at 6-5. They're right there too, and they play Baltimore. So with a win, they can move themselves up. So this picture is right now is very wide open, and we are going to start seeing the men separate from the boys in the coming weeks. Anything you guys want to add?
Not a whole lot. It appears that if I had to guess, the Raiders and Browns are going to slip down. The Broncos might stay in contention if they could pull out a win here. So it's kind of narrowing. I think we are eliminated a team or two from having a solid chance of getting into the playoffs. But regardless, it's going to be interesting to see what happens this next 6 weeks or so.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think Cincinnati is going to beat Pittsburgh. I think they'll move down. I think that Baltimore is going to beat Cleveland and they'll move down. I think Indianapolis is going to win and they're going to move up. So the two big ones to watch are the Chargers Broncos game and the Bills and the Saints to really see that jockeying for those 6 and 7 spots. We could have a completely different look this time next week. Anything you want to say, Hefe?
Mostly just, I like that Bengals Steelers game. One of those teams has to lose. No, I mean, of course, unless it's a tie. But assuming one of these teams has to lose, either way that goes, that plays well for the Colts if the Colts can figure out how to beat the Bucs. So, they might not move up into the bubble quite well. No. They might not move into the playoff picture, but they'll be the first team out of the bubble if the Steelers or Bengals lose this week.
Yeah. But the biggest thing is the Colts need to control their own destiny. We've talked about that before. If you start needing other teams to lose, you have no business being in the playoffs. And they need to take care of their business from here forward.
You said that last week, and right after we got done recording, it popped in my head to combat that with the 2 Giants Super Bowls, especially the one over the Patriots. They were I believe the 6th seed ended up beating the Patriots.
Fair enough. But let's go with more often than not. How's that?
Yeah, there we go.
Can we settle on that one? All right. So taking a look at the NFC picture, the Cardinals are way at the top at 9-2. I mean, they're only the Packers are 8-3. Packers did not do themselves any favors yesterday by losing to the Vikings, but Arizona's 9-2, sitting top of the NFC West. They pretty much have their destiny cut out in front of them. This number one spot is theirs to lose. Can we all agree on that?
Yeah, I think that's safe to say. Yeah.
Yeah. Green Bay is at 2nd, 8-3 at the top of the NFC North. There isn't a team within miles of the Packers in that division again this year. Dallas is top of the NFC East at 7-3. No one's really going to challenge them for that unless they do a complete spin out, which I don't see that happening. I know they've been a little shaky, but I don't see them completely spinning out. Tampa Bay is ahead top of the NFC South in the 4th spot at 6-3. I really don't see them losing that either. The Rams are in the 5th spot at 7-3. Pretty safe place to be. When you look at the teams below the Rams, we talked about this last week. You've got Minnesota in 6th place at 5-5, New Orleans at 7th place at 5-5, San Francisco at 8th place at 5-5, Philadelphia at 9th place at 5-6, Carolina at 10th place at 5-6. So we drop off the table really quick. And more importantly than just those records, which seems like Minnesota is only 2 games behind the Rams, there's a huge disparity between the tier the Rams are on and the tier that the Vikings and the Saints and the 49ers are on. So I think the Rams are pretty safe. I don't think they're going to catch Arizona. They could. I don't think it's going to happen, but I think the Rams are probably pretty much a lock for that 5th spot. And we'll watch these other play out. But again, Philadelphia, Minnesota is so inconsistent. New Orleans is so inconsistent. San Francisco is so inconsistent. And Philadelphia appears to be getting better. I'm at this point, I'm not ready to put money on it, but I think the Eagles are going to find their way into that 7th spot. I really do.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up. I was going to talk about the Eagles, and because you talked about how the Cowboys pretty much have the NFC East locked up, and I just don't think that's necessarily the case. Because again, this week I in the pick'em I have the Cowboys losing, and I have the Eagles winning, which will make the Eagles 1 game back if that's the case. And then it's anybody's game. And at the moment, the Eagles are hotter than the Cowboys. Cowboys seem to be struggling. So I think the Eagles have a chance at least to come up and get that. It'll be tough for them. But I do think that they've made a case to be one of the teams that bounces up into the playoffs. I could see them even being the 6th seed, have the Vikings fall down to the 7th seed, and maybe even the Niners. The Niners have looked pretty good over the last couple of weeks. Obviously, a win against the Rams will do that for you. So maybe even they make it in. Whoever gets the last 2 spots in the NFC, it's going to be an interesting fight. I think there right now 4 or 5 teams that it could be. Depending on how they play over the next few weeks. But the Eagles seem like a team that's for sure going to make it in right now.
Okay, so now that you've said that, and I go back and look, I still think that the NFC East is the Cowboys to lose. But now that you've said that, looking ahead at the schedules, the Eagles have the Giants, the Jets, the Washington football team, the Giants, Washington football team, and then the Cowboys. On the other hand, the Cowboys have the Raiders, the Saints, Washington football team, the Giants, Washington football team, the Cardinals, and then the Eagles. So when you start doing some math there, the Eagles, if the Cowboys drop to the Cardinals and maybe even drop one to the Raiders or the Saints, and the Eagles win a proportionally equal amount coming in, we may have a fight for NFC East. I think a lot has to go the Eagles' way for that to happen, but it's just even crazy. It's crazy that we're even having this conversation, that the Eagles may win the NFC East.
And I mean, in true NFC East fashion, I feel like it's every year with the NFC East. It always comes down to the last week of the season when 2 teams play each other. And of course, the Eagles and the Cowboys play in Week 18 this year, and that's gonna be the game for the division, in my opinion.
That'd be awesome. That'd be awesome to see. Is that it? Anything else you guys want to say?
Nope. I think we pretty much covered it. Oh, actually, there's one note I wanted. It's not huge news or anything. But Taysom Hill signed, even though in the offseason, Taysom Hill signed a 4-year, $160 million deal that was like nothing guaranteed, and all 4 years were voidable. It was a really weird contract. Taysom Hill has signed a 4-year hybrid type extension worth between $40 and $95 million, with $22.5 million of that guaranteed. So it's not huge news, but a pretty big contract for pretty relevant players who signed a big contract, a 4-year contract in the offseason. I just thought that was really weird and worth mentioning.
Yeah. We'll have to see how that plays out and see what that means for their future at the quarterback position. as the rest of the season plays out and into the off season.